So you may be thinking, what in the world? These don't look anything like what I saw earlier. So these I actually can make some marks based on my previous knowledge. So this is where I'm going to need to know vertical angles. And what do I know about vertical angles? They form an X and they are congruent. If this was X, then this would be X. I can add these arcs in these situations. Another thing that I'm going to talk about is a reflexive line. And this reflexive line means if I have a triangle and another triangle on top of it, this line in between them is congruent to itself. It's like if I now I'm drawing a blank on my analogy here. It's basically like if I took my two hands and I pushed them together, in theory, they're both the same length here. So this line is going to be reflexive. I can add a tick mark here. So when I see vertical angles, I can add an arc in the corner. And when I see a reflexive line, I can add a tick mark. So let's look at number one. I notice that I've got a tick mark here and a tick mark here. This means this side is congruent to this side. I have a tick mark here, two tick marks. This side is congruent to this side, but that's not enough information. However, I can see a reflexive line. I can mark this line to be congruent to itself. I'm pressing my hands together. This line, if I separated my triangles, would be exactly the same length. This side is congruent to this side. So I can actually say these are congruent based on side, side, side. Let's look at number two. All right, I'm seeing something important here. I see an arc in the corner and an arc in the corner. This tells me this angle is congruent to this angle. All right, so I know right off the bat, if I listed my options, side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and then hypotenuse leg, right off the bat, right now, I can eliminate side, side, side. It can't possibly be that because I've got angles here. I can also eliminate hypotenuse leg. There's no 90-degree angle. So now what I've got to figure out is this one of these three in the middle. So I notice I've got tick marks here. All right, that doesn't eliminate anything else. However, I do see an X forming. This angle is congruent to this angle across from it. How do I know that? Because they are vertical. So I added two tick marks because it's not congruent to the one tick mark above. So this is an angle, this is an angle, this is a side, and this is a side. So what I need to figure out now is it side, angle, angle, or angle, angle, side? Well, now I can look at this and say it can't be side, angle, side because I've got two angles and a side. Now, to distinguish between angle, angle, and angle, angle, side, I have to figure out, is this side between the two angles? So here's one angle and here's the other angle. Is the congruent side between them? No, it's not. Therefore, it has to be angle, angle, side. So when I scroll down and look at these next two, I'm seeing something really important. So if I list out my options, side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and hypotenuse leg, I see something really important here. I see a box. This tells me that this is 90 degrees and this is a hypotenuse. So I should be thinking, this could be hypotenuse leg. Well, now that I see an angle, I know it can't be side, side, side because this is an angle. Because this is a 90-degree angle, the one right next door is a 90-degree angle, which means this is a hypotenuse as well. So I know right off the bat, could be something interesting. I also look at this line right here down the middle. This is a reflexive line again. So I'm going to add one tick mark. This triangle, if I separated them, this line would be the same length. I can add one tick mark to it. So now I've got a side, another side, and an angle. A side, another side, and an angle. So I know that it could be this or hypotenuse leg. I can eliminate these now. However, if I look at the angles and the sides that I have, they actually spell a bad word. However, because this is a 90-degree angle, I can say it's hypotenuse leg. Hypotenuse leg is our trickiest one. So don't panic if you're like, what in the world? If it's got a 90-degree angle, it's probably going to be hypotenuse leg or not congruent. This is still always an option. Let's look at number 4. So I've got side, 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 angle, side, angle, side, angle, 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 side, and hypotenuse leg. Or not congruent. I've left this one off a couple times. When I look at this, I've got one tick mark is congruent to another tick mark. This tells me side is congruent to a side. All right, I see no 90 degrees, so I'm going to automatically eliminate hypotenuse leg. I see another tick mark and another tick mark. This is going to be a side and a side. Now I've got 2 sets of sides, so I know it can't be angle, angle, side, and it can't be angle, side, angle. So I'm stuck between these 2. Well, this does not have tick marks on it, and I can't add them on there because this line is not reflexive to this line. It may look like it's the same, but they're not pressing up against each other. But what I do see is an X in the middle. This angle is congruent to this angle because they are vertical. So I can add that arc. Well, now I know this angle is congruent to this angle. It can't possibly be side, angle, side, so it has to be side, side, side. So it has to be side, angle, side. So I want you to look through the remaining on that sheet and see if you can eliminate, do this process here that I forgot to do in number 1. Do this process, list out everything. Can you prove if these triangles are congruent based on the markings?